Divine Entertainment. By Orthoris. Chapter 4. A New Beginning. Alex spent the next few days adjusting to his new body and spending time with vibrant colors. True to the letter he received from Zeus, he found it to be relatively easy to move around in his newly acquired soul container. Walking was easy, and even the more challenging bodily functions, like controlling his tail and ears, didn't take a lot of effort. The one thing he had problems with was picking things up with his hoof. Apparently this required some form of magic control, and of course the gods forgot to add this to his skill set. So because he didn't want Vibrant to get suspicious, he practiced it in the room she provided for him. It took him almost 3 days to learn it. But after he dropped his shoe for what felt like a few thousand times, he finally grasped the concept. It wasn't that different from magnets, and once he understood that, it became a lot easier. Much the same as he didn't understand how magnets worked, he didn't really know how he picked up stuff. He just kinda did. With his grabbing skills sorted out, the last thing that eluded him was magic. He was a unicorn now, so he definitely could do it. At least that's what he thought. Try as he might, he couldn't get it to work. He tried everything from meditating to just smashing his horn against stuff to see if it worked. And because he knew it wasn't science until he wrote it down, he did just that. Test number 86. Objective: do magic. Method: poke/smash stuff with horn. Conclusion: doesn't work/hurts a lot, must be sensitive, so avoid in future. Of course he had to hide his notes from Vibrant Colors as he didn't want her to find out he couldn't control his magic. For now he bullshitted his way through by telling her how he had some kind of amnesia, and he just couldn't remember a lot of stuff. Including the casting of even the most basic spells. When he wasn't experimenting on himself, be it in the bathroom or outside of it, he helped around the house where he could. There wasn't too much to do, but he could at least cook for the both of them, as it kind of was his job before coming here. Also he helped tending to the small garden outside, pulling weeds and planting seeds. As soon as he stepped outside for the first time and looked at the house, he immediately recognized it from one of the paintings inside. The evil painting that made him fall down the stairs. Even though he didn't like that particular picture, he couldn't deny that it was painted expertly. It looked almost real, like someone took a photograph of the house. In fact, all of the pictures Vibrant drew looked amazing. Apparently she earned her money by trekking to the next village and selling them there. She was pretty self-sufficient, having a garden. So she made the trip only about once every 2 months. But now that she had to feed 2 ponies, their resources were growing thin, and today she made him a proposal. They were both sitting at the table munching on some flapjacks Alex just made when she spoke up. So Alex, how do you feel about going down to harvest? As Alex shot her a confused look, she elaborated. It's the name of the nearest village. I need to go there so I can restock. Would you like to come with me? Maybe you'll remember something along the way, or meet someone who knows you in town. She looked at him expectantly, merrily eating away at her meal. She quite liked Alex's cooking, a fact he was proud of. As a chef, seeing your customer happy was his greatest reward. An opportunity like this was just what he was hoping for. He liked Vibrant Colors, but if he wanted to actually do stuff, he couldn't spend his unending life living in isolation. Sure, that sounds like a good idea. It's weird, not really knowing why I was around here, or if I was alone for that matter. Maybe my friends aren't around anymore, but the local authorities might know something. Like reports about missing unicorns or something. That was a blatant lie, of course. Alex knew full well that this was impossible. But in the last few days he made a game plan for his further proceedings. The most important thing for him was learning magic. This was after all a dream of his come true. But that involved finding other unicorns. Already having determined that the pony tribes didn't unite yet, that possibly meant a lot of traveling for him. So going to some form of civilization was key. He could acquire information there, maybe even a map. He would most likely have to part with vibrant colors after that, but that was a necessary sacrifice. He came to like her quite a bit in the short time he knew her, but he really needed to get a move on. Also, he wasn't ready to settle down at all. At the age of 23 you still had your whole life ahead of you, doubly so for an immortal being. Yes, the sheriff might know something if you were really reported missing. And if that fails, we can still ask around for a bit. She took a while to think. The trip will take about 3 days, so we'll need to pack enough food. We'll encounter enough bodies of water so that it won't be a problem if we don't pack any. I also have a tent that we're going to need, luckily it's big enough for 2. I'll also take a few paintings with me, so I can sell them there. Vibrant colors listed the things they'd need with ease. No doubt having completed the trip numerous times in her past. Alex wouldn't have been surprised if she pulled a checklist out from somewhere. There's a cart behind the house, can you go and pull it to the front after we finish eating? It'll be easier to load up. Sure. Let me know if you need help with anything else, I'm glad to help. Vibrant nodded thankfully, shoving another flapjack into her mouth. If you could help me make the paintings safe for traveling, that would be much appreciated. Alex was currently chewing on his own food, so he just gave her a thumbs up. Or at least he wanted to. As it were, he just raised his hoof towards her, as if pointing. Vibrant shot him a questioning look and Alex looked somewhat confused for a moment until realization struck him. Even though he was getting used to his new body, old habits came through every once and again. Alex just put his hoof back down and reassured her he'd be happy to help in any way he could. After they finished their meal, they went to work on their respective tasks. While Alex relocated the cart and started stuffing food and other rations into it, Vibrant started preparing her paintings. This went on for most of the afternoon, with Alex coming to help Vibrant later on. After a light dinner consisting of various fruits and vegetables, they both retired for the night. **. The next day, Alex woke up because of a very persistent green hoof shaking him. Time to wake up, Alex. We need to get an early start if we want to arrive within 3 days. Come down and we'll eat some breakfast. Alex just grumbled something and turned around on the bed. He never was a morning person. And getting up before the sun did was akin to suicide for him. If you're not at the table in 5 minutes I'll dump some water on you. Vibrant grinned while turning around and walking towards the door. As she stood in the frame she shot a look back, only to see Alex quietly snoring into his pillow. She shook her head and made a mental note to fill a glass of water while she put out some food for them. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, Vibrant stood before Alex once again. This time armed with a small container containing an ice-cold wake-up call with no snooze button. More commonly referred to as a glass of water. Seeing as Alex didn't make any moves to get up, she dumped the water relatively unceremoniously onto his head. Way, what the fuck? Shit. Jesus Christ on a stick, that's cold. Ah! Alex awoke with a start, shouting off various profanities at no one in particular. While he did so he flailed around in bed and got into a fight with his blanket. This combined with having just woken up led to him, once again, falling out of bed. Good to see you're awake, breakfast is ready. Vibrant said nonchalantly while looking down at the mess of blanket and pony. Come on, I want to leave before sunrise. She turned around and walked out of the room. Meanwhile Alex wormed his way out of his soft cocoon. All the while cursing under his breath and promising revenge. He made his way down the stairs. Normally if he had to get up this time of day an onlooker could mistake him for the Walking Dead. But apparently a glass of cold water did wonders for him. Sitting down at the table he grabbed a carrot and some fruit, as well as a glass of orange juice, and started eating. Every once in a while he'd look over to the green mare and give her the stink eye. After the 3rd time she felt the need to say something. Oh come on! How else was I supposed to get you out of bed? She shot him a smirk. You were here just a few days, but I know exactly how you are after you get up. You know we're on a schedule here. She patiently waited for his response while chewing on an apple. Alex didn't answer immediately. Even though he was much more awake than usual, his thinking process was still a bit slow. Deep down he knew she was right. But that didn't mean he had to like it. So he just grumbled at her a bit and continued eating while loading new ammo into his stink-eye rifle. After what Alex considered another successful headshot, Vibrant let out a deep sigh. Seeing as they were just about finished with their meals, she started clearing the table. Not long after, they both stood outside, looking back at the small house. Alex contemplated his situation once more. This was it. The beginning of his new life. The start of his very own adventure. He considered himself lucky to have been picked up by such a nice individual. From what she told him, he was found quite a way away from her home. Vibrant was taking a hike, searching for bits of nature that would look good on a canvas. Apparently he was lying in a spot of high grass and she almost stumbled over him. If it was the same place he was put to sleep or someone else entirely, he didn't know. But he knew he didn't have to thank the gods for being discovered. Most likely they just chucked him somewhere and left. Don't you want to lock up? Alex asked. He just noticed that she didn't after they both exited the abode. Somebody might break in. Alex. We're almost 3 days away from civilization. If some pony comes all the way out here to rob me, they won't be stopped by a locked door. And if someone has an emergency, they're more than welcome to use my house for shelter. Vibrant deadpanned. That makes sense. They stood in an awkward silence for a bit before Vibrant broke it. Well, no point standing around. Let's go. She turned around and walked towards the now fully loaded cart. Alex not too far behind her. While she strapped herself expertly into the harness. Let's take turns pulling this thing. I'll start, and we'll switch after we eat lunch. That sound okay to you? Sure. Alex held his answer short, still feeling tired. He jumped onto the cart, which still had enough space for one pony. Curling up into a lying position, he looked up to see an unamused face before him. Come on Alex, get off. The cart's heavy enough as is. She said, slightly annoyed at his antics. Make me. Alex put his head on his leg, finding them a lot more comfortable than his human counterparts, and closed his eyes. The strapped-in mare gave an exaggerated sigh but started pulling nonetheless. As Alex felt the cart start to move, he lifted his head again. He looked back once more. He looked back not only at the house in the middle of nowhere, but at an end. He thought about all he left behind. Family, friends, and all his personal possessions. There was no way for him to ever return. He hoped, or rather prayed, that the gods at least made his passing a bit easier for his parents. It was the first and last time he would be asking the gods for anything. And somehow he felt that they were at least decent enough to grant him this wish. Blinking, he turned his head forward. His gaze lingering on the mare pulling the cart in front of him for a moment. He put his head back down. Watching the sunrise in front of him, he closed his eyes once more. He didn't think about what was behind him, but what was in front. All the while the soft rocking of the cart lulled him to sleep. Author's note. So this is the official start of Alex's new life, as well as the end of the prologue chapters. We now enter the territory of the journey arc. Once again, thanks to my proofreader/editor Ambrose for a job well done. Have a good read and feel free to comment. End author's note.